Welcome to It's Your Life, Just Get It Done Now, with hosts Joyce Wheeler and Krista Nelson, who will empower you to live a happy, healthy, natural life. You're listening to Wolf Spirit Radio.
So welcome everyone. You're listening to It's Your Life, Live It to the Fullest. I am your host, Joyce Wheeler. Today is Friday, May 20th, 2016. You are listening to Wolf Spirit Radio and Hacky Shack Radio. Please remember that we're listener sponsored, so hit that donate button and show us love. Tonight I have with me a fellow blogger. I met her through Blog Hops, and she has a blog called Gigi Eats Celebrities, and when I saw that, it really intrigued me, so I had to click on her blog and see what it was all about. But her name is Gigi Dubose, and she's a healthy living nutrition enthusiast and blogger based in Los Angeles. With a unique comic style and relatable approach, she both educates and entertains her audience with a weekly blog, Gigi Eats Celebrities. Gigi's passion for all things nutrition and fitness blossomed into a full-time focus when she encountered diet-related health problems as a young girl. Since then, she has led an active and healthy lifestyle and is committed to showing others how diet and positivity can affect their lives. A skilled writer, interviewer, and on-camera personality, Gigi has profiled celebrities such as Harrison Ford, Michelle Bridges, Denzel Washington, Henry Winkler, and many other Hollywood stars. She is frequently called upon for her advice and opinions by nutrition and celebrity media outlets. She has a bachelor's degree in broadcast journalism from the University of Colorado and a master's degree in nutrition communications from Tufts University. Welcome to the show, Gigi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm excellent. How are you doing?
I'm just wonderful. I mean, it's Friday, so we can't really complain, right?
No, we sure can't. So, Gigi, you're not from California, are you?
No, I'm actually from Jackson Hole, Wyoming, so a little bit away from California and a lot different.
So what part? Go on.
I actually moved to Los Angeles right after I finished college in 2011. I graduated in December 2010, and I moved to Los Angeles 2011. I had a job working at E! Entertainment and at another place called Buzz Media, both entertainment news jobs, because that's initially what I thought I wanted to do. I wanted to be an entertainment reporter, on-camera host, that kind of thing, which, I mean, I still sort of want to do that, but my passion has grown far more into food. It's always been food in my life, but I never knew that I could have a full-time job talking about food and making, healthier recipes and that kind of stuff. So I moved out here, and after working at E! and after working at Buzz Media, I actually stopped working at those places because people told me that they wouldn't hire from within the company to be on camera talent. So I stopped, and then I also got their advice to have an online presence, which is why I started my blog, Gigi Eats Celebrities, and my YouTube channel of the same name. So that's a little sum up of who I am and why Gigi Eats Celebrities exists.
And that's a very interesting name. How did you come up with that name?
So initially, when I started my YouTube channel, my blog, I was making fun of and poking fun of the diet and fitness trends of celebrities. Now, those diet trends are absolutely ridiculous, and I hated how people were actually following those trends. The cabbage soup diet, the 9 egg a day diet, the rainbow diet. It made no sense to me, and I wanted to, do something in a funny, quirky fashion, showcasing my comedic ability, but also educating people at the same time. That being said, when my blog started to progress and I started making more YouTube videos, I actually got hired to do a lot of entertainment reporting jobs. So I sort of morphed my blog more into talking about food in general, and I actually call food aka celebrities, so I sort of, tie it in that way, like the food celebrities of the world. And I've morphed more into making allergen-friendly recipes and talking about my actual health issues that I have that I sort of put on the back burner in regards to talking about when I first started my blog. But the more I started blogging, I also realized that people are far more interested in your life than you think. They want someone relatable, and I don't talk about myself that much on my blog, but when I do, that's when I get a lot of traffic because people are very curious. Like, for instance, I posted a picture of my fiance on my blog, or he actually wrote a blog post for me once, and I got extreme traffic because everyone's curious. But, of course, I've built my brand and my blog up to what it is at this point that, I do have followers and fans and stuff that are curious about what I'm doing and what my life is about. So I feel like I should open up a little bit, which is why my most recent blog post, I confessed to something, and it was good. It was a good blog post, and people really appreciated that.
Yeah, I saw that one today.
Yeah.
What year did you start your blog?
I started my blog in 2012.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to say my first video I ever posted was February 20th, 2012.
You got this thing with dates.
I know, I'm really good. I'm really good at remembering. I have to say, I think it has something to do with my phone though, because on my phone I'll take pictures every single day, and they date the photos, or the iPhone dates photos, so I can just go back and look at the old photos and I remember exactly what I was doing that day.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
I wonder if all phones do that. That's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've only had experience with an iPhone, so.
So tell us, when did you first, you did mention that you had health issues since you were a child.
Yeah, so I wouldn't necessarily say I was born with these issues. However, when I was about 13 or 14 years old, I mean, the only issue that I was born with was I had a dairy problem. But, of course, when I'm a young kid, I didn't even really pay attention. I just thought that that's how you were supposed to feel and whatever. So when I was 13 or 14 years old, I actually had a huge transition in my life. I was sent to boarding school for snowboarding, so I was a competitive snowboarder for my high school career. And excuse me?
That is so cool.
Oh, isn't it cool? I thought it was so funny because I went to boarding school for boarding. Haha. Anyways, so when I went to snowboarding school, in Colorado, I had to, exert all my energy every single day. We were snowboarding from dawn till dusk every day. And, I had to hike half pipes. I had to constantly, huck myself off of jumps and that kind of stuff. And, it takes a lot of energy, but I just was not feeling good. And my mom is a doctor, and, I look up to my mother as a lot of people look up to their mothers. And my mother was, hashing out some advice for me in terms of, take this out of your diet and see if you feel better. Take this out and see if you feel better. And I did, and some things worked, some things didn't. And then I actually got tested for food allergies, and it so showed that, I couldn't eat gluten, I couldn't eat dairy, I couldn't eat all of these things. And that's when I was diagnosed with a bunch of my issues such as celiac and Crohn's and that kind of stuff. And that was a pivotal part in my life because I just didn't know what to do. Number one, I left home at such an early age. Number two, I was in such a new environment. Number three, I was exerting myself so much that at such a young age again, because I'm an immature 13, 14-year-old girl, who's trying to, grow up. However, she's being forced to do, snowboarding and that kind of stuff, which, she loved, aka me. But at the same time, it was very hard to struggle with all of these things. And then number four, I was diagnosed with these problems. So it was very hard for me to figure out how to live my life. So, of course, I had rocky moments. I had some ups and downs. I had to, go home at a certain point because I just couldn't deal with it by myself, and the schools didn't quite understand what I was going through, because at that point, I don't even want to know how many years ago that was. I don't know. But, at that point, though, these types of sicknesses were not of the forefront. They were not popular. They were not, quote unquote, fad diets, like a lot of people like to call them, even though they're not fad diets at all. So people just didn't know what these things were. So I had to go home. I had to reevaluate everything again. But when I went home, I honestly believe that it really helped, because my mom is way ahead of times when it comes to food and nutrition and health. And she educated me up the wazoo about how to take care of all of these things, and, getting rid of the processed carbohydrates really helps, and the grains and the glutens and that kind of stuff. So that is what I did. I even had to get rid of fruit and nuts, and I had eliminated all sugar from my diet. And what else? Well, basically, whenever people ask me what I cannot eat, I say I can't eat wheat, dairy, gluten, sugar, soy, nuts, and fruit. So everyone always says, oh, okay, what do you eat then? But I promise you, I have a very tasty diet, and in fact, I love food very, very much.
Yeah, and you blog your videos show that. Now, how did you handle that at such a young age?
Well, I'm not gonna lie, I actually struggled with anorexia because I had no idea what to eat. So, of course that went through my life. But at the same time, I feel like every girl goes through some sort of anorexia and or eating disorder when they're younger. But to be honest, I truly believe the way that I handled it was my upbringing. My parents are very realistic, and they raised me they raised me and just really, really well. And I feel like that helped me just overcome me being like ho-hum, feeling sorry for myself, and really wanting to tackle the issue head on, and not sitting back and waiting for someone else to do it for me. I'm not that type of person. I'm a very much a go-getter, and I will always tackle a problem I have head on right away. So I was researching up the wazoo constantly. This is how I became completely and utterly obsessed and interested and in love with nutrition and how foods work in your body and what's good for you and what's not good for you. And of course, there's a lot of conflicting information, but I got my master's in nutrition from Tufts University, and that really, really helped me basically read between the lines in a lot of journal studies and different sort of and just different studies that are done, because a lot of times you'll see articles posted on, for instance, Yahoo, that it's like, dairy's really good for you. But then you read closer and you click on the studies that they're referencing, and it's like, these studies were done on rats, and these rats were of the age of blah, blah, blah. And but the problem is you cannot compare rats to humans because they are completely different. So any animal study that is done not on a human, you cannot compare to a human. So, there's another one, for instance, like aspartame, that usually those studies are done on animals. While I'm not advocating anyone eat aspartame, because there have been some human studies, the problem is, you really just cannot compare yourself to, say, a monkey or a guinea pig or something like that. Now, another problem with these studies, though, too, is when they do the studies on humans, we don't have enough evidence because it hasn't been a long enough period of time. That's the biggest problem. So that's why there's so much conflicting information in this world, because we don't know what can really happen because the studies haven't been going on long enough. Right. Yeah, I went on a tangent there, and I apologize. But, okay, I have to just thank my parents for, instilling great, attributes in me.
So you said that you were diagnosed with celiac, Crohn's, and other stuff. What's the other stuff?
I have ulcerative colitis, and I have IBS as well. Excuse me?
What's IBS?
IBS is irritable bowel syndrome. So, there's no real cure for this, unfortunately. You just have to eliminate specific foods that might not work with you. For me, I eliminated all of the things that I know don't work for me. Unfortunately, in the society that we live in, we eat out a lot and a lot of things are contaminated. So I generally have some sort of stomach ache or bloating or something like that on the daily basis if I'm eating out a lot, which in Los Angeles I do. My lifestyle is very much go, go, go. So that is unfortunate, but I have, just come to terms with it, unfortunately. That being said, I take a lot of probiotics and digestive enzymes and vitamin D and multivitamins. I definitely supplement my diet a lot, so I am not missing out on any nutrients, and I can help my stomach, process everything that's being ingested into my body. When I was in college, actually, when I was 21, I had something called a cecal volvulus. Basically, my large intestine twisted into a knot, and I had to get it taken out. So I went to the hospital, and my doctor told me that it was going to rupture and explode if they didn't take it out immediately. So they did. So I've been living without a large intestine for the past 8 years. I just gave away, or 7 years. I just gave away my age, but who cares? And my doctor told me I was never going to have any issues ever again, and everything was going to be fine. But that was a lie, because I've only struggled even more so since that point. But so it's okay.
So, and that was at the point too that, what was it, another doctor told you about taking the Miralax? Yeah,
so, basically what happened was, a lot of people would think that you get your large intestine taken out, your motility rate is going to be really high. You're always going to be going to the bathroom. But unfortunately for me, that was not the case. So my doctors recommended that I try Miralax. And I have a very addictive personality. So when I took it, I was like, okay, 1 capsule a day, that's totally fine and doable. But then my body got used to it, which is very common. So when your body gets used to it, you obviously want to take more. So I started doing 2 capsules a day, then 3, then 4. I made it all the way at one point. In my video that I posted this week, I said 8, but I do recall myself actually doing 10 servings at one point. I think I only did that for like 2 days, and then I told myself, oh no, you need to stop this. So I was doing at least 8 servings of Miralax a day, and then that wasn't helping. And I knew that this was a problem because, Miralax is a 30 serving bottle. And if I was going through 3.5 of those bottles a week, and those bottles are not cheap, we have a problem that we need to take care of. So I went to a bunch of different doctors, and finally I was told that Miralax is poisoning me. However, I just cut back on it, and since very recently have I truly cut it out of my life for good.
So for those who don't know what that is, can you explain what Miralax is?
Miralax is polyethylene glycol, and it's basically, my doctor told me it's styrofoam, essentially, and it's just this white powder. It's tasteless. It dissolves in water or whatever liquid that you have, and you take it, you take it maybe once every other day, once a week, whatever, depending on, your regularity and if you're constipated or not. And it's supposed to help you go within, 5 to 8 hours or so. So that is what Miralax is. And, doctors recommend it every so often, but they don't recommend you do 8 servings a day. So, I can't really blame anyone but myself for essentially poisoning myself.
Right. Well, sometimes that happens. And I totally understand what you're saying. I'm like you. I have an addictive personality.
Oh,
and
yes.
It's like good things and bad things,
Oh, completely. I'm addicted to salmon, but then at the same time, I was addicted to Miralax. So there are, good addictions and bad ones.
Yeah, there are. There are good addictions and bad addictions. like, my addiction with working out. That's not bad.
I have a workout addiction as well. I'm in the gym every single morning for an hour and a half.
At one time when I was back in Tennessee, it was like 2 hours of working out every day.
Oh yeah.
Well, 6 days out of the week. And now it just makes my schedule so busy that sometimes I don't even get to work out. So like today.
Do you feel guilty when that happens?
Yes.
Yeah. See, that's my problem too. I don't feel good if I don't work out.
I feel fat.
I don't feel fat. I just feel tired and I don't feel all there. I really see exercise as being like a cup of coffee for me. I just, I get on the elliptical or I get on the treadmill and I just go for my cardio and then I do my other things in the gym and it really wakes me up. A lot of people think I'm quote unquote crazy, but the second they start doing it, they'll realize that I'm not in fact crazy. I am very smart.
I actually started working out when I was 17.
Yeah, I started working out very young too. I mean, when I started the snowboarding, that's when I started being very dedicated to working out.
And I was working, and at that time, I used to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and work out for 2 hours, take a shower, and head off to work.
Oh, you sound just like me.
That's what that's what I had done. And of course, then as things happened, my life changed. I got married, had kids.
Uh-huh.
After my daughter was born, because I'm also about routines. So because I was exercising for 2 hours every day, it was like, now what am I going to do? So I had to get a new mentality and be like, something is better than nothing.
And that's what you really should see it as. Something is better than nothing. Granted, I truly believe that you need at least 45 minutes of activity a day. I really strongly believe that. Everyone needs to, even if it's just walking around the block 3 times, like you just really need to get off your butt and you need to get moving.
Right. I've been listening to a health summit on preventing cancer naturally. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the things is to exercise.
Oh, and I strongly believe that.
Well, and the thing is too, is that I think what we're both kind of addicted to are those neurotransmitters that are activated during working out, the dopamine and, what's the other one? Yeah, that's the serotonin. And of course we need that to create melatonin so we can sleep at night. So,
yeah, you just want those endorphins. You just want to be elated and happy. And for me, exercise actually helps me focus for the rest of the day because, sometimes I actually suffer from a little bit of ADD where I'm just distracted and I just can't even focus. But with exercise, it truly helps.
It's interesting. But when, and I know when people would find out that I was getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning to work out, they thought I was crazy.
Oh, of course. I used to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning when I was in college and I had class at 7 o'clock in the morning, so I'd get up at 4 and just do it. I mean, granted, I might take a nap later, but it was fine. I mean, I actually worked at ABC in Denver at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I had no problem doing that. So I'd get up at 2, go to the work at 3, and then our TV show, it was for ABC, so it was like a live morning show. And then our show would be over around 7, and then I would go to the gym at my work and work out then, and it was great. It was a good schedule.
See, I'm not a gym person. I've been to the gym, and it's just like, no, I like to do Taibo. I like to do the step. When I did go to the gym and I wasn't able to get out to the gym and I worked out at home, it was like, I couldn't do what I usually would do at home. It's like.
Yeah, I'm a gym girl. I'm addicted to that gym.
And people would tell me, they'd say, if I didn't go to the gym, I wouldn't work out. They can't figure out how I can work out at home. But I have no problem. And I like it. I don't have to wait for equipment. It's my equipment. I get to use it anytime I want. And I've got a pretty nice arsenal. considering again that I started working out at 17. So, you know, I've got
you know how to work out by yourself. You're golden.
Well, you know, I guess it's those endorphins that kick in because I always would tell people it's like, it's a high.
Oh, it's a complete high. People always ask me where I get my energy from, and I tell them exercising.
Exercise is really so good for us. We really need to do it. And, you know, years ago, people didn't sit like we sit today. They were out in the fields and they were working.
They were always working, yeah.
Yeah. There was a lot more physical activity, and our bodies were created to move. We have to move.
I mean, if you sit for a prolonged amount of time, like we're gonna get, like just take it for instance, when you do actually sit for a long time, when you get up, you're all sore and you feel creaky and stuff like that, and you need to stretch. Yeah, it's because you weren't moving for such a long time, and you're exactly right. You need to move. We were built to move, so people need to get up. They need to get off their butt. The problem is those 9-to-5 jobs. However, these days, a lot more jobs are becoming a lot more lenient with people working from home as long as they get the work done within the hours. So that gives people the luxury of having more time to go to the gym or go outside for a run or go to an exercise class, that kind of thing. So that's great. And I see within the next, 5 years, a lot more people working from home. What? I'm sorry, I cut you off.
Oh, excuse me. No, I thought you were done. Have you seen the new treadmill they have that you can put a laptop up there?
I'm not gonna lie, I would totally get that, but for the time being, I have a stand-up desk. So I work at my desk, because I do my blog full-time and my YouTube channel full-time, so I am at my computer for a lot of the day. And prior to having my stand-up desk, I would sit for, all those hours. And I got a lot of back pain. But the second I started standing, my back pain went away. So I truly believe that standing at your desk is paramount for your health.
Yeah, I've seen those to where they have those stand-up desks.
Yeah, I mean, I created my own. I actually got something from CVS and then I put, a couple shoe boxes on top of it and it works.
Well, as long as it works.
Exactly.
There was something I had seen about, cause, I'm like you, I'm not blogging all the time. I actually haven't blogged in a while. I've been busy trying to get my organic skincare products out there and promoting that. We're really working that. Plus, I'm putting together a natural living fest that we're going to do here in Louisiana, November this year. So I'm busy with trying to get that together. So I just really haven't time. And because, the type of blogger I am, because I'm a natural living blogger. So for me, it's a lot about research. Mm-hmm. So just write one blog can take me 5 or 6 hours of research just to get it out there. So it's just not about, my life's experience. That's how it started out. Yeah. I started talking about things that I do, but see, then my interest grew. I wanted to know more, that's why I'm listening to the 7-day summit on, dealing with preventing cancer naturally and, how we can go ahead and do that. And that's a lot about, excuse me, a lot about what I do too is, in my life, how can I prevent this? I don't want to have to deal with something and figure out how to deal with it naturally. I want to know how I could prevent it. I had watched a summit on women's wellness where they talk specifically about hormones. And, it's really bad because there's a lot of girls out there with PCOS and my daughter's one of them. And they're putting them on the pill. I don't know. Do you know anything about PCOS?
I actually don't know that much about it. I've never, thankfully, suffered from it, and I've never really had problems in that area, so that's nice.
Yeah, well, one of the symptoms is not menstruating. Mm-hmm. And it's really something because my daughter, she menstruated once when she was 13. Uh-huh. And then I think something else. And then it was it didn't come. And I had taken her to the doctor multiple times, and he finally said, you know what? If she's not menstruating on a regular basis by the time she's 17, we'll do something about it. Mm-hmm. So what they put her on the pill.
Yeah, I've definitely heard of that remedy before. I'm not a fan of that. It really screws you up though.
Yeah, she took herself off because she had a coworker who also had PCOS, mm-hmm. and she was telling her about it, how it's not a real menstrual cycle.
It's not, yeah, it's induced.
Right, your body's not doing what it's supposed to do, and some of the harmful side effects of it, so she took herself off. But, like the big thing with PCOS is a lot of it is hormones.
Yeah.
Just hormones are messed up,
So how was her, demeanor? Like, was her attitude changing all the time, or how was that?
No. She was pretty consistent about it. I'll tell you something though, when they did that, she would be in excruciating pain, and she would, it was horrible what she went through while she was on that pill. It was hard. It wasn't fun at all. But she took herself off, and then gradually, she's 24 now. Her body has finally started working kind of the way it's supposed to, although now she's had instances where she'll like menstruate, and then like 2 weeks later, so she'll start up again.
Yeah.
So she can't figure out what's going on. But again, that's a hormonal issue, just like, with women breaking out that time of month, that's hormones. The teens breaking out, that's hormones. It's all a change in hormones. And there's other issues that people come across that it's because of hormones. And they were saying in the summit that if you go ahead and you put something else in the place of hormones, like synthetic hormones or even herb that mimics a hormone, your body will stop making hormones.
Yeah.
So,
how old is your daughter now?
She's 24.
Okay.
So I had gone actually I have a holistic doctor that I went to get my hormones checked. And I didn't know what she was going to do. I don't use doctors. I actually have a herbalist. Mm-hmm. that I call if there's something I'm not sure how to deal with. Mm-hmm. And I haven't been sick in a long time anyways, so.
Me too.
So anyway, I wasn't sure how she was going to deal with this, and I said to her, I don't want any hormones. Because when you do that, then your body's like, well, she's got the hormones that she needs and they won't naturally make them. Mm-hmm. So I told her, I said, I just want to find out which ones are weak so I could build that up. If it's a thyroid, how can I naturally coax it into doing the job it was created to do? So I lucky for me, we were on the same page. She was like, no, we're not going to do that. She agreed with me. So that was cool. You know what I found very interesting too at that summit was they said that women, like the premenopause and menopausal, should be eating 4 cups of greens. That green,
really?
Huh?
Really? That is very interesting. Do you agree with that?
I don't know, but I heard it on the summit and I mentioned it to my holistic doctor and she agreed. It helps to generate our hormones. So stuff like bok choy, spinach, kale.
Yes.
Things like that. But I think the women that were talking were juicing, and I kind of have a problem. I mean, juicing.
I have a huge problem with that.
What's your problem with juicing?
My problem is it seems people are not educated when it comes to juicing. A lot of people. I'm not saying everyone, but I'm saying a lot of people, they hear juicing and what they do is they do juice fasts. And they use the juicer, they get rid of all of the good stuff from the fruit or vegetables that they're using and they just discard it. So like all the fiber and the peel of the fruit or vegetable is actually one of the most nutrient rich places, and they throw it away. And so people tend to juice, and they'll juice, I don't know, 3 times a day, not eat anything else, so there's no protein and there's no healthy fat. And then 2 days later, they're starving and they go on a binge fest. That is my biggest problem. I never advocate juicing ever. I mean, you can drink a juice as long as, it's lower in sugar and you also are eating protein and healthy fat. Like that, you need to have a balanced meal at every meal.
I have never heard of anybody juicing like that. All the people I know that juice, they juice because of the nutritional value they get from it and because they can combine all these fruits and vegetables into a drink. And it's something that they do maybe once a day.
Mm-hmm. So
my problem with juicing is that, we need to chew the food to get those enzymes.
Oh, completely. Yeah.
And I feel that by juicing, you're destroying those enzymes.
Yeah, exactly. That's such a good point too. I mean, for instance, a lot of people say, you shouldn't chew gum or anything like that because it's tricking your body and stuff like that into creating these enzymes for nothing there, and it just messes everything up. And you make an excellent point because when you juice, you don't actually chew anything.
Right.
So you drink this juice and then your body can't process it and you're more likely to get some sort of stomach ache or get bloating or something.
Now you mentioned the gum. Now I've heard that not to chew gum because you'll start producing enzymes because there are enzymes that do start producing in the mouth.
Exactly.
So is that true or false?
I mean, it really, I think, is dependent upon the person, to be honest. Some people who have chewed gum for a long time, their body is probably used to it. But someone who, for instance, just starts chewing gum every so often, or chewing a lot of gum, I don't think chewing one piece of gum after a meal and spitting it out within 10, 20 minutes is a problem. But someone who is a quote-unquote a chain chewer where they chew, a pack in a morning or they chew 6 packs in a day or something like that, then that's kind of an issue. But at the same time, what?
Sounds kind of like a smoker, but it's gum instead.
Exactly. I mean, obviously smoking is 10 times worse, but that being said, if you're chewing sugar-free gum, then, you don't know about the aspartame. And then if you're chewing sugar gum, well, sugar is known to cause numerous health problems, so that could also be a problem. So right. Then again, you never know if smoking or chewing sugar or sugar-free gum is worse.
No. Okay, now I'm just wondering, because there's people that chew tobacco.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm wondering, would that do the same thing as like chewing gum, start to get those enzymes going?
It might. I'm not entirely sure on that. That's something that definitely sounds like I would want to research. Let's hope no one actually swallows that tobacco, because that would be disgusting.
No, they're more disgusting. They spit it in bottles or spit it on.
I know. I mean, being from Wyoming, so many people chew tobacco, and it's really disgusting.
Well, it's not disgusting when they chew it. It's just that, why do you have to spit it out right in front of me? Can't you?
Well, I personally believe that I think it's disgusting in the respect that, everyone knows that cigarettes are not good for you. Everyone knows tobacco is not good for you. So the fact that you were just going against, there are warning signs on the label saying this may cause death. Yet you're risking your life to do it, unfortunately, because you were addicted. It is essentially a drug in that respect, as is, alcohol and stuff like that. So, everyone is entitled to do whatever the heck they want, I guess, but I just think it's disgusting to me. It makes me really sad that people are doing it even though they know that there are complications involved with doing that type of thing.
Right. Now, the other thing I heard too is that when you're eating, you should not drink anything because that tells the enzymes to stop.
You know, that right there is, it's not a one size fits all. I've heard that before as well. And, you know, but I've heard both sides. I've heard you should definitely be drinking some water as you eat. And then I've heard don't drink, at least 20 minutes prior to eating and feel free to drink afterward and stuff. Now, it's debatable on both sides, but I truly believe people need to do what feels best for them. If you feel good drinking water while you eat and it helps you digest, by all means go for it. But if you feel bloated and tired and disgusting and gassy during your meal and right after your meal, then don't drink when you're eating and see if that helps. My problem is a lot of the trends and a lot of the studies and a lot of these different, you know, mentalities, everyone thinks that it's a one size fits all, but it's not. Everyone was built entirely differently. So for instance, I have a friend who is a vegan and she feels wonderful on that diet. However, and she eats all the gluten, she eats wheat, she eats it all. However, I cannot eat that way because if I eat that way, I will blow up into a balloon. I will feel horrific. I will have the worst stomach pains in the world, sometimes even resulting for me to have to go to the hospital. So for me, those types of things are poisonous, but for her, eating meat makes her incredibly sick. So that right there is everyone. It's point blank right there. People are different. So yeah, so those diet books and, you know, all those eating plans and stuff like that, they're just not for everyone. And I hate that they're catered to the masses.
Well, you know, one thing that I always tell people, you know, because I agree with you, we're not all created the same. So that's just like you like to work out at the gym, but I prefer to work out at home.
Exactly.
And I always encourage people to work out, and I always tell them, find something you enjoy doing. Because if you don't find something you like to do, you're not going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's walking,
exactly how I feel.
If it's walking, if it's dancing, you know, whatever it is, just get your body up and moving.
That's exactly how I feel.
And I've also, you know, and I say all the time too, when it comes to food, our bodies speak to us. We need to, you know, listen. Right. You know, when I've said that to people are like, what? You know, I don't. And it's just like, yeah, you do. You know, just pay attention. How do you feel after you eat certain foods?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like
I have a girlfriend right now who is really struggling in the respect that she can't figure out what's wrong with her. Like she'll eat and then her lungs will feel tight. And she'll get rashes on her body. And she's been for the longest time trying to figure it out. And she finally has realized that she's finally pinpointed the foods that do it. Now, it's unfortunate because she is slightly addicted to these foods. So, you know, she'll go a few days without eating them. And then day 5 comes around and she's like, oh, you know, a little bit won't help. And then bam, she feels terrible and her chest is tight and has problems breathing and she gets these rashes all over her face and she's like, oh gosh, never again will I do this. But then, you know, 5 days comes around again. And that's where willpower really comes into play, but you really need to train yourself. And it's not an overnight thing. Like people need to realize that, okay, you might backtrack every so often and relapse, but you have to keep going because if you don't, you could very much be putting yourself in danger.
Right. It's, you know, that's something too. I don't think we should deny ourselves of something, but I don't think that we should overindulge.
Exactly. Everything in moderation. And people have said that, you know, moderation is key. However, I truly believe the thing that people need to get out of their diet as much as humanly possible is sugar. There are too many problems with sugar and it's so known. I almost feel like sugar needs to have a warning label on it, but unfortunately, the sugar companies of the world are funding a lot of the studies, so that will never happen. But it's just sugar has been linked to so many complications.
So let's talk about some of those complications.
Okay, well, I mean, obesity is the first one. And then obesity leads to a whole host of other issues like heart disease, and then heart disease can lead to heart attacks and strokes, and then guess what? You die. So it's just shocking to me. And what I actually am very impressed with or happy with is the fact that over the past 15, 16 years at this point, sugar has been put in a negative light. It used to be, high fructose corn syrup, it's fine, it's fructose, fructose is from fruit, that's healthy, awesome, I'm gonna drink that. I kind of was watching a documentary last night, I was passed out, I was sleeping, but I heard some things and it was right on point, and one of the things was, back in the 50s or 40s, people were being pushed to drink regular Coke, and it was, you might as well drink this because otherwise you're going to be eating all of those nasty, unhealthy foods. But the Coke is just as unhealthy as those things, if not worse. So that was very shocking to me. And then, although not that shocking because the information back then was not as much as now, and the studies there wasn't enough time back then because studies only started a couple of years prior about what sugar does to the body. So now we're seeing the adverse effects of sugar over the long haul, and we will only continue to do so over the next, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years and on, and only see that sugar does more and more negative things. The great part is there are sugar alternatives such as stevia or monk fruit extract where they are actually, they're healthier for you. They come from plants. They have known to reduce blood sugar levels, and they're more additives, as opposed to, sweeteners. They're not bad for you. And stevia has a weird little cloud over it as well because people are scared of it. But I've been using stevia for the past 16 years of my life, and my bill of health is completely clean, aside from my stomach issues, but that is completely different. So yeah.
And then there's agave.
I do not believe in agave at all because that is sugar. So I never, ever, ever advocate that one. However, a lot of people do, take it because they think that it has a healthier rap for some reason. Yeah, it comes from a plant. That's great. But it's still sugar, and that is going to cause a lot of problems.
All right. Now, a lot of people use honey or maple syrup as a substitute for sweeteners.
And I truly believe honey and agave are on the same page.
So, I've heard that too, but, and I've heard the same thing, even about the maple syrup.
Yeah, I don't do maple syrup either. Those syrup is another word for sugar. So, no to syrup. That is my complete opinion.
I like syrup.
I know. A lot of people love syrup, but it really is another word for sugar. There are so many different words for sugar out there that it's very confusing. Nutrition is such a complex subject matter that it's no wonder why the population of obesity is skyrocketing and people get so confused. And honestly, the new information and, wanting to be point blank about calorie counts and sugar amounts and blah, 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 it's both a blessing and a curse. Because it's a blessing because it's great that, more people are realizing things are not necessarily good for them. But it's also a curse because it just makes things so much more confusing. You'll go to a restaurant and you'll see, chicken piccata with side of spinach and some brown rice. And then you'll see calories, 1,500. And then fat, 28 grams or something like that. And people just get so confused and have no idea what to think. And then they get scared of the menu item and think that they can't eat at a restaurant if they're trying to live a healthier lifestyle, which actually this is one thing that I do. I actually have a live broadcast on this thing called Nom. It's a new app on your phone or a website, nom.com. And I myself created a show where I go to chain restaurants, national chain restaurants. So for instance, the last restaurant I went to was the Cheesecake Factory. And tomorrow I'm going to Sizzler. These places I have never been to before in my life, but I'm going to them and I'm doing live broadcasts there explaining how to order allergen-friendly and healthier menu items. So you can still go out to these restaurants that have fair-priced menu items, and you can still go out to eat with your friends and whatever, but you can order healthier things and not feel guilty. Or if you have food allergies and you go to these places, you don't have to feel like you're totally stuck and you have nothing to order. Like, for instance, I went to Chili's and I did one of these, and Chili's actually has little monitors on each table where you can go and you can read up the nutritional facts, you can read all of the allergens in each meal, and, you know, you can easily tell your server, hey, I would like this grilled, nothing battered in flour. Because usually what they do with white fish, by the way, at a lot of restaurants is they actually dredge it in flour before grilling it, despite it being grilled. So if you're gluten intolerant, you really need to ask those questions. And basically on my Nomcast, I expose these truths and I make people, or I hopefully make people feel comfortable enough to ask the questions when they're ordering out. I know it's painful and annoying and you feel like people are judging you, but in the long run, who cares? You're never going to see that waiter again. If your friends are with you, or if your family is with you, they love you regardless of your problems, so they will be patient for you. And if they're not patient for you, then they're not good friends. And you should ditch them. No, I'm just saying. But basically, that's what I'm really trying to get across when I do these live broadcasts. I want people to feel comfortable with their problems and voice their problems. And if you're a paying customer, you should be able to get what you want.
Right. See, now one of my problems is that we eat organic.
Yes.
So,
yeah, organic is something that you're not going to find very many places. I mean, one of my favorite places to eat actually is just going to the Whole Foods hot bar or the Whole Foods salad bar. And that right there for me is fast food. And to be honest, it's actually very inexpensive, compared to a lot of restaurants. So I highly recommend that. And I think it's delicious. And at Whole Foods, for instance, or other, nicer grocery stores, you are able to find organic foods on their salad bar or hot bar or whatever.
Yeah, I haven't.
Yeah, how do you deal with going out to eat when you're 100% organic?
Yeah, it's tricky. I'm actually, it's nice because when I'm out, like tomorrow, I'm gonna be out, and actually the town I'm in, I do know of 2 places where I can get organic food. So, and actually on itsyourlifemag.com, we have, a tab for places to eat.
Oh, that's awesome. Great resource.
My husband, what happened was we had traveled back to Tennessee for his son's graduation, and we were having a hard time finding organic food.
Mm-hmm.
We were just like, we were having to go actually to like a Whole Foods or a Kroger in Tennessee and get the organic food and take it to some place to cook it. And so we decided that we were going to find organic restaurants in various cities various states, I should say, across the country, and list them on the website so that when our readers or anybody else who was traveling, they could find them. And what we found too is like you've got that, what is it? Holy Cow. Is that what it's called? That website where they list.
Yeah, they do. They have, I think it's dairy-free restaurants.
I don't know. They don't have, no, I don't think so because, well,
Is
maybe, but they've had restaurants on there that were listed as organic. And when my husband called them, and our main concern was, can I come into your restaurant and have a full organic meal? That's all I want to know. And there were a lot of them that were on that website and they were like, no, but they were listed as organic. Even
yeah, that's people being lazy.
And even on the internet, you
Yep.
know. So it was like, we called all these places and they were very transparent, you know. Some of them said, no, I cannot, you cannot get a meal here that's 100% organic. And I was like, well, I thank you for your honesty and goodbye. So
that's another thing with, for instance, I don't know if you pay attention to like grass-fed beef versus grain-fed beef, but that's becoming more and more popular on menus. However, the thing is yeah, sure, anyone can list that their cow was, or that their burger or their steak was grass-fed, but the thing is was it grass-finished? If it says grass finished on the menu, then that is the great option to take. But if it's grass fed and not grass finished, if it's corn finished or grain finished, then it's really no better than anything else that you would see. So, that's something people really need to take in consideration. But restaurants and, grocery stores and stuff are taking advantage of this at this current time because it's just starting to become more popular, this grass fed quote unquote trend, and there's no regulations on the terms, so you can literally just plaster that you can just plaster that on any package and get away with it. So that's, you have to, you can't really trust anything when you go out to eat, unfortunately.
No, but the places that I have in a nearby town here called Covington, there's two places. Well, actually, the one place I'm kind of like, I don't think it's all organic. I think they've got some stuff in there that's not. But there's one place I know that they're all organic. I know their practices. I've talked to the people. And I think that's what's really important is that, you get to know, where am I eating? Where, what are these people serving? And they actually started out that they had the health store. And then they had a cafe attached to it, but they had to jump through hoops to finally get it open, which they now do. But most of the stuff that they're serving in the cafe, the food's coming from the health store that they've always been selling this whole time.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, so I just, and there was this was something I talked about like last week or the week before. I encourage people to visit farmers markets, talk to the farmers. We bought a half a cow one time. We went to the farm. Well, we know the farmer. We know how he treats his cows.
Oh yeah, I order my meat online because it's the only place that I trust.
We went to the slaughterhouse, and that's another thing that people don't understand, that it's really important how the animal is slaughtered. It's, it's not just the life that they led, but it's how.
Exactly.
And a lot of people don't understand that. Our society is so out of touch with their food. They don't know where it comes from. It's like the food fairy just drops it off in the store, and there it is.
People don't pay attention. It's so true. I mean, I have a lot of friends who don't care about their health, don't care about food, don't care about anything. And I will go to the grocery store with them and I just see them pick up the most random stuff and they just eat it. And they're like, whatever, I don't care. They don't even think twice about it. They just put things in the cart, they check out, they make it at home, and that's it.
I actually think that that's our problem. We were talking about obesity earlier. I did some research when I first started learning about the genetically mutated organisms. And I did some research to look at the health aspects of it, the statistics. And it was interesting because from 1995 till now, it's like everything was kind of steady. It kind of grew a little bit. 1995, they really started messing with our food, and the statistics went up in obesity, type 2 diabetes, Alzheimer's, and autism. Those were the ones that I was able to actually find charts on. So it's not just, you're saying the sugar. I don't think it's just the sugar. And the thing is, with the sugar, they're using beet sugar. Beet sugar is highly genetically modified.
Oh, of course it is. Everything is genetically modified these days, pretty much, which is really unfortunate.
no, not everything's genetically modified, but if it's not genetically modified, I mean, you've got probably like maybe 15 to 20 food products that are actually modified. But the thing is that the other ingredients that they're putting in these foods are not foods. They weren't meant for human consumption.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Ingredients that they're made from petroleum.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, they can't be healthy. I look at people. I look at people, and I told my son that yesterday we stopped at the gas station, and one thing I've noticed is that, and this is young people, is they have their gut, they have this loose skin that just hangs over. And I told them, I said, you know what? It wasn't like that. People didn't look like that before. If they had excess weight on them, it didn't just hang there. It was more tight and toned. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Do you agree?
I do. I mean, younger and younger kids are looking older and older every day because of the food they're eating. I mean, if you look at kids who are, I don't know, 8 or 9 years old, for instance, girls, you look at 8 or 9-year-old girls, they have breasts. And it's interesting as to why, because they're not supposed to be going through puberty at that age. It's usually around, 13 or so. So it has something to do with diet.
Well,
but
it's also playful state. And I want to talk about that when we get back. We have, at 6:59, so we're going to take a music break. You've been listening to It's Your Life, Live It to the Fullest. I'm your host, Joyce Wheeler. Today is Friday, May 20th, 2016. You're listening to Will Spirit Radio and Haggy Shack Radio. Please remember that we are a listener-sponsored station, so click that button and show some love, and we'll be right back after this music break. Welcome back. You're listening to It's Your Life, Live It to the Fullest. I'm your host, Joyce Wheeler. It is Friday, May 20th, 2016. You're listening to Will Spirit Radio and Haggy Shack Radio. Please remember we're listener-sponsored, so click that button and show some love. And we are back with fellow blogger Gigi Dubose from Gigi Eats Celebrities. Gigi, are you there?
Yes, I am. And my last name is Dubois.
I wasn't sure. I thought it was Dubois. And, I should know that, too. I'm here in Louisiana where there's a lot of French.
Not a problem. My full name is Geneviève Germain Dubois, and a lot of people are just so confused. They don't even want to try and say that. So I just make it easier. Say I'm Gigi, and that's it.
So that is French, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay. As long as we're talking about your website, you want to give out your website and your YouTube channel so that the listeners.
My website and my YouTube channel, you can just Google, or you can honestly Google me, but, my website is GigiEatCelebrities.com, and then my YouTube channel is just youtube.com/GigiEatCelebrities. Pretty simple, but honestly, if you just put Gigi Eats Celebrities in the search engine of Google or Bing or whatever you use, I will come up, I promise.
Yes, she will come up. Before we took a break, we were talking about the way that body weight is distributed on people, and you had mentioned how females are maturing faster.
Yes. Females are maturing far faster, and it's definitely due to diet.
Well, yeah, and one of the problems is I was thinking about it, during the break, and it's like, you're right, it is what they're eating, because if you're eating the regular stuff, it's not regular stuff. If you're eating the junk that's out there, it's full of hormones.
Oh, yes.
And then we've got the glyphosate that's in Roundup that gets into the vegetables. And it's funny because I meet these vegans and these vegetarians, and I understand that, with the vegans, it's all about, loving the animals and wanting to, not to harm them and whatnot. But then the vegetarians are like, it's so much healthier. Well, not if you're eating the junk out there and not eating organic, because that glyphosate, first off, it's really hard because we've got stuff that's flying in the air. So, it's like none of us are really safe from it. Jeffrey Smith is on this, natural cancer Prevention Summit, and I was listening to him yesterday, and one thing he said that I didn't know is glyphosate lasts in the ground for 22 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking. And, the glyphosate, you know, that's estrogen. Mm-hmm. So it's no wonder that our girls are maturing. And I think we see it in girls because it's obvious. You know, with boys,
you can't really tell anything.
Right, because you can't see what's happening. But with the girls, I
mean, you might see facial hair at a younger age.
Right. But it's, you know, it's the hormones in the foods and the glyphosate and just other things that our society is bombarded with. And I think it's funny that, like, we're the one country that allows all this junk in our food. You know, it's like you've got all these other countries that are just like.
There we go. That is something I want to discuss real quick because I went to, well, anytime I leave the country, I always feel 10 times better than when I'm here. But this in particular, I was really struggling. In November, December 2014, I was having a lull in my stomach issues. And I went to Australia and New Zealand. And when I was there, I had never felt better. And granted, I wasn't eating gluten and all that stuff. I still was living my free lifestyle and just eating, you know, vegetables, healthy fats, and animal protein. However, even doing that here in the States, I always feel a little bit off. But when I was over there, I had never felt better. I didn't have any stomach, well, maybe I had like 1 or 2 stomach aches, but ironically enough, one of the stomach aches came after I ate at a quote-unquote American restaurant, so that's kind of funny. Exactly. They were like, oh, let's dump the sugar on this because that's what Americans like. But it was very interesting to me because then I came back to Los Angeles and literally the next day after I had eaten a meal out here in LA, I did not feel good.
You know, it's funny that you bring that up because you had asked me about, you know, how do we eat when we're out? And if we can't find someplace that we trust that's organic, we will go to Panera Bread. Mm-hmm. There's some seafood restaurants down here that we'll go to and we'll get fish there. The one time we had gone to this particular restaurant, it happened to be like twice that month. And because we had recently been there and had fish, we opted to go with another dish. Well, it was a really big mistake because the 3 of us were like laying in bed like, oh.
Yeah, exactly.
Bodies are going, what the heck did you do to me?
Well, and honestly, when you get old, when people tend to get older, like, you know, I'm not saying, for instance, my fiance, he, you know, 10 years ago, he could eat, you know, all the junk food in the world and, or drink a whole bunch or whatever. But now it's like, okay, after I eat all that junk food or after I drink, I don't feel good. So you can handle it when you're younger, but as you get older, I feel like you're less inclined to feel as okay as you used to. So I see that happening a lot more. And that alone is actually what helps people start to eat a healthier diet. A lot of people I know, they're like, you know, I don't eat dairy anymore. I don't eat ice cream all the time because it always gives me a stomach ache. So, but like back in the day, they would eat it every day and just ignore the stomach ache. So it's really nice to, see that they're actually, you know, trying to live a healthier lifestyle because they're listening to their bodies.
Right. You know, I probably should have told you, we don't say the O word. It's called maturing.
What's the O word? Older. Oh, okay. No, I don't mean it in that sense. I mean it more just as you get older. So yeah, maturing is the better terminology to use.
Yeah, I was just kidding. It's just a joke.
Well, it's still the better terminology to use.
It's just more positive because I don't think that, you know, age is a number that stands for how long we've been on this earth.
It does not determine how good you feel. I could not agree more. I took the words out of your mouth, I hope.
Yeah, basically I was going to say it. I'm not going to let it define me, you know.
Well, yeah, I never let age define me either. I mean, I'm not saying that I've been on this earth for a ton of time, but I'd never let it define who I am as a person.
Well, you know, I've been here long enough, and I'm just like, just because I'm at a certain point in time in my life doesn't mean that this is what has to be. I mean, because it's a fact that as we mature, there are certain things that our bodies don't generate as naturally as what they used to. So we got to kind of help the body along to go ahead and do what it's supposed to do. But we can,
like, do you, for instance, supplement with CoQ10?
Yes.
Yes. Because that is something that we tend to not create in our body anymore after the age of like 30.
Yeah, CoQ10, magnesium, zinc.
Yes.
Vitamin
all
D.
Of that.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got a whole bunch of supplements that I take. You know, and it's really sad that we have to take all these supplements. We should be able to get this from our food, but because the soil is so depleted, farmers aren't letting their land rest like they used to. You know, farmers.
No, it's because people just want money, 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 and they need to have a quick turnaround.
Right. So, you know, it's just, even if you're eating organic, you know, your body's still not getting, and I can tell the difference. I can tell if food is actually organic or if it's not.
What is the taste difference to you?
It's not the taste, it's how it acts on my body.
Okay.
Well, you know what? Yeah, it is different because I remember when we started eating organic and started replacing things in the house, the butter, there's a difference in the color. It's the way I remember it when I was growing up.
Okay.
You know, and the mayonnaise too. The mayonnaise is different from when I was growing up. And, you know, you were talking about like the high fructose corn syrup and like drinking pops. I used to drink a 2-liter bottle of pop every single day.
Oh, goodness.
You know, it made me quit. My stepson, sent me something on Facebook where it talked about that some of the high fructose products where they were created contain mercury. And my husband suffered from mercury poisoning, and I saw what he went through, and that was enough for me. That was it. I haven't had it. I mean, I'll drink a pop every once in a while, but it's organic, like Virgil's or something.
Yeah, Virgil's isn't bad. I actually sometimes will drink their sugar-free, like, root beer or whatever. It's sweetened with stevia.
I don't like I don't like the taste of stevia.
I've been using it for so long that I love it. But I understand it's definitely a preference of taste for sure.
But now it's like, you know, I look for, if I do, and it's only once in a while. I mean, it's probably maybe 5 times out of the year now that I'll drink a pop. Otherwise, I don't. You know, but, we were talking about something else before this that I really wanted to touch on.
What exactly? You mean like this hour or last hour?
No, this hour that we were just conversing about, and then we got off on the,
Oh, you mean talking about, puberty at a younger age?
Well, no. I guess it was just the food thing in general. You know, and just how hard, I know what it was, talking about the way our bodies react to it. You were asking about the taste.
Oh, yes.
If it tasted differently. So there are some things, you know, cause it was like back in the day when before they started using high fructose corn syrup and the pop, it tasted different. It did not taste the same as when they started using the high fructose corn syrup.
Yeah, I've actually heard that too. I mean, straight cane sugar versus high fructose corn syrup, I know it has a very different flavor profile.
Well, and the thing is too, is like some of the research I haven't done a lot, but some of the research I came across with the high fructose corn syrup is that our DNA does not recognize it.
Well, another thing too is fructose in general is digested differently in the body than regular sugar. So that alone is a huge problem.
But it's not even natural fructose.
It's not.
From fruit. They're taking it from corn.
Yeah, but regardless of where the fructose came from, it's digested differently, and it's almost worse than natural sugar, or regular sugar, glucose, I should say. But yeah, no, it's odd because it is coming from corn, and obviously corn does have fructose in it as well, though, because fruits and vegetables both have fructose.
Oh,
but
really?
Vegetables have a lesser degree.
Okay, because I thought it was just fruit that had the fructose.
Oh no, I mean vegetables have some sugar in them too, and the sugar is fructose.
Right.
But I mean, it's really just, the smallest percentage in vegetables, but in fruit, for instance, bananas, they've got lots of fructose.
And bananas are like my favorite fruit. I love bananas.
I know.
They're like so good.
A lot of people love bananas.
I have a friend of mine that because of the high sugar content in them, she will not eat them.
Yeah, I mean, usually if people come to me for dietary advice and stuff, while I tell them, obviously each to their own, and you really need to cater your diet to how you feel, there are some things that I ask that they try and reduce, or if not eliminate if they can, and I definitely say like papaya, mango, bananas, those types of fruits. Now, I'll have people keep in, berries and apples and pears because those are very, very high in vitamins and minerals. Whereas, the bananas, sure, they've got vitamins and minerals and all that stuff as well, but berries and stuff are a little bit higher in the antioxidant realm. So I would, and lower in fructose. So that's kind of what I would tell people to eat if they, wanted to still continue eating all the fruit. But yeah, so. Bye, banana.
I heard that some apples are better for you than others.
It really, an apple is very healthy for you regardless of the type, to be honest. Well, this is my opinion. I mean, there's Gala, there's Fuji, there's Granny Smith. I don't see one as being particularly better than the other. That being said, when we go back to bananas, there's bananas and there's plantains. And plantains have resistant starch in them, which has been shown to reduce your risk of cancer and that kind of stuff. So resistant starch is a new thing coming around that is very beneficial. So if you want to have bananas, you should try plantains.
No,
just something to think about.
I've never had plantain.
I've never either because I can't eat fructose or sugar, but I have I have read numerous places that plantains have high resistant starch, and resistant starch is something we need to really include in our diet.
Huh. I'm writing that down because that's something I want to look into.
Yeah.
And especially considering that I've been listening to the summit on dealing, natural prevention for cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that hasn't come up. But then there's it's 7 days and there's 4, 5 speakers every day. So,
yeah.
I've got to choose which one I'm going to go ahead and listen to. But that's really interesting.
Beans, they also have resistant starch, as does potatoes and yams and barley and brown rice. So those are other suggestions if you don't want to go the plantain route.
No, I don't do rice. I don't eat any rice.
Yeah, I don't eat rice either, but the potatoes and yams, it's actually really funny. When I was younger, I don't know what happened. My mom tried to feed me yams and sweet potatoes, and I just threw a fit. And then I actually threw up after I ate them. So I had not eaten a sweet potato or a yam for, I don't know, 25 years or something. And I just made a recipe for my blog, sweet potato pancakes. And I made it with a little tapioca starch, and it was the best thing I've ever made, or at least one of them, and I am now addicted. So I think it's kind of funny that I just randomly was like, you know what? I'm going to stop being picky, and I'm going to try these sweet potatoes again, and they're amazing. I used to be completely addicted to butternut squash, but I actually think that sweet potatoes are tastier than butternut squash.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
My daughter won't eat sweet potatoes. She just will not eat them. But you made 2 different types of pancakes with the sweet potatoes.
I did a sweet one and a savory one. So the sweet one was just sweet potatoes and the tapioca starch. And I made it into a pancake, and it was great. And actually it was very fluffy and stuff, just like a pancake. And then I made a savory one. I actually mixed bison with my sweet potato and a little spinach or something. And you know, it looks a little bit like a hamburger, but I made it to be a bit more like a pancake, and they were very good too. I highly recommend and no one has ever eaten the grass-fed, grass-finished bison before, I would get on that. I eat a lot of exotic meats, so other animals that I like to eat are, you know, elk or venison or ostrich or emu or goat and grass-fed, grass-finished lamb. I also really like, what's the other one that I really like? There's another one in there that of course, you always forget the last one that you want to say. But, you know, I like to think outside the box when it comes to my animal proteins, because, you know, I do have such a limited diet. And I honestly think that my diet is sort of a blessing in disguise, because not only am I avoiding a lot of the foods that are quote unquote not good for you, but it also helps expand my horizons to the point where, you know, I'm scouring the aisles or scouring the produce section or whatever of a grocery store to find the next best thing, to find something completely different. You know, I randomly picked up the goat meat the other day, and that was delicious. And I love to get sable fish, or it's also called black cod, from, you know, the fishmonger, or, you know, steelhead trout or Arctic char. You know, there are different variations or varieties of fish that people just glance over because they typically are just going to get the cod, or they're going to get the salmon and call it, or tilapia, which, oh gosh, we could talk about that for years.
I remember your blog post on tilapia.
It's so funny. That is one of the highest traffic blog posts and YouTube video I ever made, because a lot of people who came to that video are tilapia farmers. So I got a lot of negative flack about it. And I mean, I won't lie, it was back when I was a little younger and a little bit more naive, and I should have done a little bit more research. But that being said, you know, the general gist is on point, but people are in such denial, and the people who work in those farms, you know, raising tilapia or whatever, they're going to obviously back tilapia as being healthy, but it has a higher omega-6 to omega-3 ratio, and what you want is to eat a ratio of 1-to-1, or at least really a balanced ratio of omega-6 to omega-3. So eating, say, tilapia is really not good for you, and could potentially cause heart disease, which is very interesting, because you just think it's the typical white fish. It's healthy, it's low calorie, it's high in protein, it should be good for you. But what people don't realize is the omega-6 to omega-3 ratio is just not balanced correctly, or as it should be for your health.
Right. You know, ever since I saw that video of yours, I have not eaten it.
Yeah, I'm glad. I'm very glad that I could make that sort of impact on your life.
Actually, right now, the only fish that we'll eat is, I think it's called sway.
Don't they sell it at Trader Joe's?
I don't know. We don't have a Trader Joe's near us, okay, but we get it. There's actually these stores down here. They're discounted. It's called the Salvage Store.
Okay.
And they carry products that are like discontinued or damaged, you know, like damaged cans and stuff. And you can get stuff there like really freaking cheap. So we were going there like once a month and just like rating all the organic stuff because we were able to get it, or expiration dates too, if it was expired. And I personally think that expiration dates are a load of BS on some things, not on all things. I mean, of course, there's like, cookies and crackers, stuff like that. It gets stale. Who is it that's got the, Nature's Path? They got the Pop-Tarts, stuff like that goes stale. But like your canned goods and certain other things, they're perfectly fine. But they sell we usually go there and we get the Sway, or there's someplace else where my husband's been getting it. But right now, that's the only fish that we're eating. I know you eat salmon and we won't eat it because we had gotten some. We were eating a lot of it and we got, and I think when we talked, I mentioned the radiation that was.
Yeah, you did tell me about that, which is slightly terrifying. However, where did you buy that salmon, first of all?
I think that was from Sam's Club.
Okay, so the only places that I buy salmon are either from this website called Vital Choice Seafood, which is phenomenal, and I know their raising practices. I know everything about them. They're recommended by all the top doctors and researchers and blah, blah, blah. And then I have done extensive research on where the fish that where Whole Foods gets their fish and their salmon specifically, and I trust them. And then there is one other retailer here in Los Angeles. It's just a tiny little market, but I trust them wholeheartedly because they label their stuff. I have had long conversations. I am most certainly a fish connoisseur, so I will talk to people for days about fish. So I know where all of my seafood is coming. So I'm hopeful that, the radiation is not in my salmon. However, I shall risk it, I guess.
Well, if you want to, you can go ahead and like dry out a piece in the toaster oven or something and send it to me, and we could test it for you with our Geiger counter.
That would be very interesting. Oh gosh, that would scare me, but we could try.
As our neighbors, they had some mushrooms and they were like, we've had various people that we associate with on a regular basis that don't think we're crazy, they do. Most people think we are crazy. My brother thinks I need a straight jacket and I should be locked up. And I said, well, I'll take the straight jacket as long as there's a zipper on the front, that's
exactly. That's
but,
funny.
It's just like, I say all the time, like when I first started learning about herbs, I was going on Herb Mentor and you had to pay for it. Well, that was to keep all the other crazy people away from us crazy people, so that we weren't going in between them. But yeah, our neighbor, brought us some mushrooms, and there's a health food store over here, and they had gotten in some Corella that they had us check out. So the Corella turned out fine. I think there was low levels of radiation in there, but the mushrooms, they pretty much they were pretty much contaminated. So.
Well, I do not eat mushrooms, so that scares me too. That's weird.
No, actually, see the thing, my husband is really big into radiation, the whole Fukushima and Chernobyl thing. He's totally up to date with that, and he just, it's like you with the food and me with my research. It's just that's what he does. And, I just lost my train of thought. I do that now and then.
Oh no, it's fine. He was very interested in the Fukushima and the radiation and stuff like that, and that's how you guys have gotten into this and testing all of your food.
Right. But, there was something else I was going to say about this, and I forgot what it was. The Fukushima.
So when you test the food and you see that there's radiation in it, do you just throw it away? And then what do you do? Because if you cook dinner or something like that, and or I guess you would test it beforehand.
Okay, wait a second. I remember what it was. The mushrooms.
Mm-hmm.
The thing with the mushrooms is that they absorb radiation because they see it as something else that they eat. I forget what it is. Yeah. But that's why they go ahead and they line up with the radiation in them, because they see it as like, oh, this is food, this is good for me, and the mushrooms are absorbing this radiation. So I'm sorry, what did you say?
What do you do with the food when you test it and see that it's positive with radiation? You just throw it away?
Yeah.
Okay. One of my biggest problems is wasting food. I mean, obviously radiated food is not good for anyone, but that is a huge problem I have. Like, I can't waste food.
We just go ahead and we take a little bit of it. If it's contaminated, I mean, we're not going to eat it, because radiation is actually composed of various molecules, I think you want to call it, that are in there. And there's actually one in there that acts like water, and you can't remove that at all.
Mm-hmm.
You can do. So it's just like, we're not going to go ahead and subject ourselves to it. So once we find out that something does contain radiation, we just avoid it. It really contains a lot of radiation?
What?
Our plates and our cups.
Wow, that's such an interesting thought. Where did you get your cups and plates? Where do you get them now if you're trying to avoid the radiation?
Well, the research my husband did, it's okay as long as they're not chipped.
Okay.
So if they're like chipped and then it's an issue. But if they're not chipped, it's not an issue. But
what about microwaving them and stuff?
Well, there's the thing
too. Microwave?
You want to talk about, I wish I didn't have a microwave.
Yeah, I was about to ask, do you even use the microwave? I rarely, if ever, use a microwave.
I'm trying to get away from that. There's times that I get up in the morning and I'm just like really freaking hungry to just like.
Yeah. I mean, I don't do it on purpose. It's just I would much rather cook something in the oven or cook something on the stove. That's my thought process. Or I go out to eat. So I don't really, or I never have leftovers. So I don't need a microwave.
Oh, see, because I've got a 17-year-old and 19-year-old in the house. So there's times where I'll make, enough food so they have for days, so that like if I have to go out or something, I don't have to worry about them having something to eat. They will, even though they're old enough to make it for themselves.
Yeah.
They won't. My 19-year-old, I think he would make a great chef, except he has one problem.
What?
Condiments make him gag.
Really? That's interesting.
Yeah. It's funny because when he was younger and he would say words he wasn't supposed to say, if I stuck soap in his mouth, he didn't care. But so what I had to do is
you gave him ketchup.
Mayonnaise or mustard.
That's so interesting. What a weird punishment. I would be okay with the ketchup. Bring it on.
No, he doesn't, he cannot, they literally make him gag. If I'm over at the counter and he's at the counter and we're both making food and I'm like using mayonnaise or, some kind of condiment, he's like totally disgusted. He's like, Mom, can you go over there and do that, please?
That's really interesting. Huh.
The problem he has is him and my daughter, they cannot handle raw meat.
I actually really love raw meat. I know that's very weird, but I like to play with ground meat. I like to eat raw meat. Like I'm very weird when it comes to that stuff.
Now that we're back on the meat topic, I was going to say when you were talking about the meats you ate, I actually love venison.
Yeah, I love venison too. I'm lucky that my sister's husband hunts meat. So, for instance, wild boar. Wild boar is the one that I wanted to talk about. I love wild boar, and it's funny because I actually don't eat pork, but wild boar I will eat, and it is so good. And it's not pork because this is wild. It's a red meat, whereas pork is white meat. So it's totally different. A lot of people are like, "Oh, but you're eating wild boar. That's pork," and I'm like, "No, it's really not." And it eats, in the wilderness, so it eats whatever it can find, and it's usually, grasses and stuff like that.
Right.
fed random slop. I just think the whole feeding practices of pork, because apparently they eat anything, is just absolutely repulsive to me.
So that's why you don't eat pork?
Yes.
Now see, we don't eat pork either, but it's not for that reason. Pork actually has a, a parasite inside of it that is not cooked out. So when we eat pork, and that's why like the Jews don't eat pork and the Muslims don't eat pork, and that's why they say it's unclean. Because it actually...
Well, there you go. That's another reason why I don't eat it then.
Are you a Muslim or are you Jewish?
No, I'm neither, but I'm just saying I don't eat it because of that enzyme now.
Right, yes.
That's another excuse for me.
Right. I'm going to go back to a second for talking about the microwave because somebody mentioned it in the chat about boiling water, microwave. I read something, they did a experiment where they had two plants and they took the water, and they put it in the microwave and they watered this plant with it. And the other one, they just used regular water. And the water from the microwave, the plant actually died. So what they were showing was that microwaves actually kill the nutrients in our food.
Well, I've heard that as well, but that's something I would have to research far more. I mean, unless you're nuking your food for, 30 minutes, I'm not entirely sure that it's going to leach out too much of the nutrients. I
don't know either, but, it's just like, and not only that, but then you gotta worry about the electromagnetic field that it throws off too, and that's not healthy.
Yeah.
So just, I'd like to get rid of it. Ours actually broke.
And you were very happy about that.
Yeah, but my husband, because, of work and stuff, he wants to be able to go ahead and
have the option. Yeah, I get it.
So he bought another one and I was just kind of, now my daughter's pretty much up on that. She hasn't used a microwave, I think she said like in 2 years.
Well, that's great.
Yeah, she uses the stove and whatnot. And the one morning I tried to do that, I had made something. I don't remember what it was, and I wanted to heat it up. And I thought, you know what? I'm not going to use the microwave. I'm going to put it on the stove. And it was like bubbling and, acting like it was all heated up. And I tasted it, and it was still cold. I was not happy.
Oh, well, that's unfortunate.
Yes, it was. Going back to the various meat you eat, I have not had bison, but there was actually an organic restaurant here. It's called, Tastefully Free. It's a gluten-free restaurant, but
sounds promising. I like the name.
Yeah, I think that's the name of it, but they're a bakery and a restaurant, and they're listed on itsyourlifemag.com. It's listed under places to eat. And I actually reviewed the restaurant. Oh, and you know what? You can order from any place in the country because they ship.
They ship? That's interesting.
They ship.
How does that work?
So
it's the meat, I guess, they ship.
No, they'll ship you food.
Oh, well so it's basically like a meal delivery service.
I guess so, because when I was writing the review on it, I called him and I asked him, I said, you ship? And he was like, yeah. I said, anything on your menu? And he said, yeah.
Huh. Well, that's cool.
So if you're interested, you can go to itsyourlifemag.com, click on the places to eat and look for, I believe it's in Baton Rouge.
I have never been to Louisiana. I think it's a place I need to go to.
You're not missing anything.
I'm not?
No.
I hear such great things about New Orleans.
New Orleans? Yeah, the great thing about New Orleans is its architecture and that historical feel. Other than that, it stinks. It literally stinks.
Okay, well, I guess I won't put that on my next travel list or my next place to travel to.
And I was actually I went to a tattoo parlor to see if I could get the Heavenly Care or Heavenly Bodies products in there. And I was telling him what we were into and that we're into natural living. He's like, you're into natural living and you're living in Louisiana. this is the worst place you can live here international living.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I mean, the South, it's full of sugar, sweet tea, you know, fried chicken, right?
No, he was talking about just the toxins.
True. Well, all the things I just listed are toxins.
the various chemicals and stuff that are here. It's, well, yeah, we're in the South, so we gotta have sweet tea. But I don't drink that anymore either.
What is your biggest food vice?
Huh.
Good question, right? Is it something you don't want to admit on the air?
Oh, no, not at all. I'm just trying to think. I would say probably chocolate.
Okay. But do you eat, like, dark chocolate, or?
No, I don't.
No, I eat Hershey's. Yay!
I do Hershey's.
Actually, there's this brand that I was recently introduced to, but I honestly don't remember the name. I could probably Google it. It is a dark chocolate, or chocolate in general, sweetened with monk fruit extract. And it is really good. I have had stevia sweetened dark chocolates before, and they're okay. I'm not really a chocolate fan, but this monk fruit extract sweetened dark chocolate, I really like. And I don't like chocolate, so this is saying something.
No, I do, but I'm just not a fan of plain dark chocolate. Like, I like the combination of chocolate and coconut.
Yeah.
Or like the dark chocolate and raspberry, but just to have dark chocolate by itself, no.
Yeah, I mean, dark chocolate to me is absolutely disgusting. I think all chocolate is gross. I would only like to eat milk chocolate with mint or peanut butter, but I can't do either of those things. However, once again, like this dark chocolate, it's called Lakanto, Lakanto. It's vegan, 100% sugar-free, gluten-free, and non-GMO. And then I'm reading off of the website because I just found it. They also have sweeteners as well, but there's 0 glycemic index, 1-to-1 sugar replacement, or I guess that's just the sugar, but, this stuff is just so good, and they have a chocolate bar with almonds and cocoa nibs and just a regular chocolate bar. Now, I'm not being paid by them. I'm not an affiliate for them. I just randomly had their chocolate, and I thought it was super good, so I wanted to let everyone else know.
I've never heard of them.
Yeah, it's very new. I went to the Natural Food Expo in Los Angeles in March, which that's something you might want to consider going to. It's a 4 or 5 day event where it is massive, but you're introduced to so many products you may have never heard of, new up and coming products and stuff like that. And it's quite, you walk away with a lot of free food. But you also get a lot of awesome information, and you see the latest and greatest on the market.
Free is good. I like free.
Oh yeah, I love free. Actually, next year I want to go back on Sunday afternoon, evening, because that's the last day. And when you go that late in the show, you actually get like boxes and boxes of food.
All the stuff they couldn't get rid of.
Yep.
That they just needs to go. You know, one of the other meats you had mentioned was goats.
Yes.
We have at one of the local farmers markets that I've been to, we've picked up goat meat from there, and I've actually made a breakfast sausage with it.
What do you put in it? Because that sounds absolutely phenomenal.
Oh, wow. You know, I used to use recipes, but...
And now you just kind of do whatever?
Yes, and once I married my husband. But you know what? I found out this really amazing trick that I just thought was, it's so easy, but it makes so much sense, you know, because it's hard to tell, like, if you're making homemade hamburgers or, you know, breakfast sausage, if it's seasoned properly, you know. Although you did talk about eating raw meat, and I used to eat raw meat. I used to eat raw hamburger all the time. I love it.
Yeah, me too. I mean, it's like tartare, right?
You know, and actually, my grandmother would make the raw hamburger sandwiches for my grandfather. They were called cannibal sandwiches.
I love it.
But the only meat that I've ever eaten raw was hamburger, but it has to be fresh.
Well, I only eat grass-fed, grass-finished raw meat. However, when I was younger, when I was like 5 years old, I used to have the habit of stealing some of the ground meat before my dad threw it on the barbecue. And I would always go over to where he put the patties down next to the barbecue, and I would just start taking pieces off of the hamburgers he made.
I can't remember when I started eating it raw, but I remember times I'd be making meatloaf and I'd be sitting there eating it.
Whoops! I'm eating half the meatloaf before I cook it.
Exactly.
It's like cookie dough, but meat instead.
Right. Yeah, but I know one thing, because you cannot have a breakfast sausage without sage.
Oh, I could not agree more. And I actually really like to add a little leek in there too.
Huh.
Yeah.
Now the other thing really big on in our house is garlic. Everything.
Oh, garlic is delicious.
Gotta have garlic. Gotta add garlic to it. And, depending upon what I'm making, a lot of the onion. So either I use
onions as well.
Either a minced onion or I'll dice it depending upon what I'm doing, depending upon how lazy I am, depending upon how much I have to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I know there's onion in there, and then, you need that salt and pepper to bring out the seasonings.
I love salt. I am not a sweet person. I'm definitely a savory person.
See, I'm not about the salt. I don't add my salt to anything. I do not like the taste of salt.
Oh, wow. That's interesting, because my family, we're all salt people. And that's a misconception in the whole health realm, in the respect that salt is bad for you. Now, the problem is what people are eating are typically packaged foods with lots and lots of sodium in them to preserve the food. Thus, it's spiking their blood, not their blood, their, I'm sorry, I'm blanking right now, but it's not, gives people adverse effects and stuff like that. However, it's really, salt is necessary for your survival. You need salt. If you don't have any salt in your body, you're going to die pretty much. But what I do is, I have very low blood pressure. That's what I meant to say, blood pressure earlier. I have very low blood pressure, and it's because of my exercise, it's because of my healthy diet, but I add so much salt to my food. That being said, when I cook, I don't add anything. I only add salt when I'm eating my food, because I know I'm going to add a lot. Also, I don't eat processed packaged foods. So if you cut out the processed packaged foods and you simply add table or sea salt to your food when you're eating it, that you've made or whatnot, you will be completely fine. Like, that is a huge problem. Even the other day, someone was like, oh man, salt is so bad for you. And it just made me look at them twice like, what are you talking about? No, it's not.
Well, they're right, because they're not eating the right salt. If you're eating regular.
Well, yeah, true.
Salt.
They're eating crap that,
right.
they got at the store for $1.
Right. Now, if you're eating the sea salt, like you had mentioned, then you're getting all those trace minerals and all the good stuff that other garbage doesn't have.
Yeah, exactly. My mom is a salt connoisseur. She is obsessed with salt. So I was brought up to eat the finer types of salt.
All right. Now I'm curious. Do you have any salt lamps?
Salt lamps? No, I do not.
I'm just wondering if you had them, if you wouldn't be licking them.
No, but I've always said if I could, I would have a salt lick in my house, and I would just lick it every so often. Very weird, but it's true.
Because we have a Himalayan salt. I'm trying to think of what to call it, because it's not a lamp, but it's for the tea candles.
Okay.
So, and then when it heats up, actually what it does is it helps to purify the air, and it also protects us against the electromagnetic fields.
Interesting.
So, but I had one of my son's friends were over here one time, and he was like, what's that? And I was like, it's a salt. It's salt. I was like, go on, lick it, put your finger on it and lick it. It's salt. It tastes just like salt. Have you seen them?
Have I steamed salt?
Seen it. Have you seen
Oh,
the salt?
seen it. No, I have not.
Are you serious?
I've really never seen that before, but I have a feeling in like a year or two, it's going to be the next latest, greatest fad thing in Los Angeles. So we said it here.
I would have thought it would have been there already. It's all over down here.
Oh no, it's not here yet.
But I don't know that I don't think that they realize what it does.
Yeah, probably not.
More because it's an earthy element that they can incorporate into decor, but I don't really think they realize
the health benefits.
Right. Because I know I was at one place one time that had them, and I was digging out on it, and I was like, wow, you know what this does? And I told the woman what it did, and she was like, wow, I didn't know that. So, a lot of these places, I think it's just, well, it looks really earthy and cool and stuff, but they don't know what it's doing.
Interesting. That's something I never, ever even thought about.
Yeah, you could get the lamps or you can get the candles. The one I really would like to get is it's like a bowl and it has like kind of like balls or different shapes in there. Mm-hmm. And I can imagine Gigi's over here licking her lips.
I know, I'm ready. I'm ready to go get my salt and chug some. No, I don't go that far, but I definitely like to put it on my food. It's necessary.
But I think the one that they had, it was a bowl and then there were smaller pieces inside and there was like a light that heated up the salt chunks.
I think it would be very interesting to eat out of a salt bowl because I think that would just like infuse, and if you put a light underneath it, it would melt the salt a little bit, so it would infuse a nice flavor into the food.
How interesting.
Yeah, I'm coming up with a product that I should sell on my website at some point.
There you go. Okay,
Perfect.
It's 7:54, so we have 6 minutes. Is there anything that you want to put out there before we have to go?
Well, on Tuesday, I am posting a new recipe. Every Tuesday on my blog, GigiEatsCelebrities.com, I update my blog. So this week, I'm actually posting a recipe for chicken shawarma. Shawarma is one of my favorite foods. It's Lebanese food, and this chicken was marinated overnight in seasonings such as cumin and allspice and salt and pepper and cinnamon and those types of things, and paprika. And then we make shawarma. My girlfriend, she's a fellow blogger of mine, she came over and we made this recipe. And we also made homemade hummus. And it is quite possibly one of the best things I have made on my website. So don't forget to tune in on Tuesday at Gigi Eats Celebrities, or you can go to YouTube and watch it on Gigi Eats Celebrities over there. And yeah, hopefully you guys will all make it and eat it. And I hope you will too, Joyce, because it's so good.
I made hummus one time and I used, dried red tomatoes in it. The sun-dried tomatoes in it. Oh man, was that good.
That's actually something I suggested in the video. My friend was like, oh, you can put roasted red peppers. And I was like, what about sun-dried tomatoes? And she goes, you can do that. And then of course you can put artichoke hearts in there if you want. You can put spinach in there. You can, honestly, hummus is just like a blank canvas. It's delicious by itself, but if you add other things, it just ups it another notch.
I totally agree. And I like to add other things. And what I did was I had gotten a jar of the sun-dried tomatoes from a local grocery store, and I actually took some of the oil and poured that into there too. And it was just
yum.
It was.
I love using the oils that, veggies are packed in jars as like a salad dressing or something like that.
Yeah, I agree. So, we have 4 minutes. So really quick, what is your diet like right now? Like in a day, what would you normally like eat due to?
Okay, so I actually only eat 2 meals a day. So for instance, today I had fish for lunch. I had sable fish and I had squid. I roasted in the oven. That's something I adore. And as of late, this is going to sound really weird, but when I eat at home for dinner, I'll cook some salmon, and I'll have a spinach salad. I eat a lot of nori. That's seaweed. I love nori. I actually snack on it crazily amounts, like so much. It's crazy. And then I think I'm overdosing in iodine, but I don't care because that takes a lot more. But anyways, however, as of late, I've sort of instead taken my ice cream maker under my wing, and I actually dump a whole can of coconut milk into my ice cream maker. It's light coconut milk. And then I add a scoop or two of Sun Warrior Blend protein powder, which is a vegan protein powder that has no sugar in it. And I put a little vanilla extract in there, and I put a little stevia, and it is the best thing on the face of this planet. And I intend on doing that this evening, to be honest.
So that's kind of like your ice cream?
Yes. But I eat it as a meal because it has protein, it has fat, and it has carbohydrates.
Right. Hey, there ain't nothing wrong with having ice cream for lunch.
'Cause I'm an adult, right?
Not even that. I mean, I'm pretty
It's so good.
But like raising my kids, it's like whatever you want for breakfast. If you have a taste for something, go ahead and eat it.
Oh, so, I plan on devouring it and loving every second. And I highly recommend you try it.
Well, I will do that. Meanwhile, it's 7:01, so we're going to have to go. I've been here with Gigi from Gigi Eats Celebrities. Check out her blog. Check out her YouTube videos. And I promise you won't be disappointed. She comes up with great recipes, and she's very energetic, very fun. And you have been listening to It's Your Life, Live It to the Fullest. I'm your host, Joyce Wheeler. Today is Friday, May 20th, 2016. Be sure to click that donate button. Gigi, thank you so much for being with us here tonight. I greatly appreciate it. It's been fun.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me.
Well, great. I hope we can do it again sometime.
All right, great. Sounds like a plan. Have a good night.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
You're listening to Wolf Spirit Radio.